How's it going, Martians? Jade back with another cryptocurrency related video. In this one, it's a much asked topic that a lot of people have asked me about, and I've seen a lot of other content creators going over their exit strategy. And there's no offense to any of them, and to ensure that I'm not offending anybody out there, I decided that I'm going to create 4 different models for you to decide which you like the most. And this is just 4 that I've come up with just on the fly, and there are tons of others that you can utilize. This just emphasizes 2 standard models that most people take, right? Now, the model that I'm going to cover first is not actually going to be the one up here in the top corner, the 10% model, but rather what I call the stopping the leak model. Now, the stopping the leak model is one that I see a lot of people actually choosing as their way out, right? And so let me explain what the stopping the leak model is. The stopping the leak model is where you are going to take your largest percentage profits at the lowest price points as the price goes up, right? So you're going to ultimately be holding a smaller and smaller percentage of your stack as you go up. So with this one, we used a regressive 50 to 25, 50%. You're going to sell at $5. Then you're going to sell 25% at 10, then 12.5% at $25, so on and so forth until you get to 1,000, where you would finish. In these, I cash all the way out at the $1,000 price point, so you can see the total that you'd earn, right? Now with these, we're assuming that you have 10,000 XRP right now, which that's a fair bit of money even today. That's $5,000, which most people can't afford to just throw in a lump sum into this. So I think that's a good middle ground of a sum to work with to see what you could potentially see using any of these 4 strategies, right? Now, with the leaking model, obviously you see that at the beginning, you are getting some pretty nice funds. I mean, your first cash out, you're going to get about 25,000, and then you're going to get another, when you cash out your second lump sum at $10, you're going to get another another like 12.5 thousand add on, right? So the idea is that as you go with this model, this stopping the leak, your first cash out is actually going to be among your largest cash outs, at least early on. And this won't change until really until you get to your final cash out at 1,000. You're just going to watch it slowly give you a little bit less each time. You're going to wonder, did I make a wrong mistake? But at the end, assuming you stick to this plan all the way to the end, and you keep that 2,913 XRP until your very last cash out point, you'll still have $3 million. So 5,000 down for the potential of 3 million at some year in the future, however long it takes XRP to get up in the 4 digits. That's not bad, right? Now, the next model I'm going to show you is the exact opposite, actually. And it's what I call springing a leak. Now, springing a leak works in the exact opposite direction from the stopping the leak, right? And that's why the name. Now, in the springing the leak model, instead of you selling your first 50% at $5, you're at this point only selling 1% at $5. Now, you're only going to make $500 in this example, right? 1% of 10,000 is, $50,000 obviously is going to be $500. And so you're not making a lot on your first cash out point. And at $10, you're still not making a lot because, again, you're only selling about 2% of your remaining, which is going to be about $2,500, right? Again, nice little, you might be able to go on vacation on that, not something you're considering living on. Your next exit point at 25, you're going to take out 4%. And now 4%, you've cashed out a pretty healthy chunk of $10,000 for all intents and purposes. Pretty nice, right? Well, let's go on to $50. And then you're cashing out, in this scenario, over $30,000 worth of XRP at $50. Now, suddenly, you've found yourself, oops, let's undo that. You've suddenly found yourself almost break even with your springing a leak model at $50 per the price, but instead of you know, having that extra $10,000, you instead have over twice, almost 3 times as much XRP remaining as that person who sold out early, right? Who put their 50% on the line at the low dollar cost of $5. You could have 3 times as much XRP in the bank still, right? Now, in this model, again, after that, at 100, you're going to sell out 16% of your remaining supply. And this is where the money really starts to get silly for you, because now your cash out just gave you, you know, $137,000. Well, take that to the bank and cash it, right? Now you're happy, you know. Now you're not even thinking about work. You're like, man, how long is it going to take for me to get to that next cash out point? That 2.5 times price point that we're at right now at $100 to get to $250, so I can cash out there again, right? You're not like, man, I only got a few $100,000 out, or I only got a few $1,000s out this last cash out, because that's what's going on with this person over here, right? If you did the leaky model, you know, at no point are you going to feel like you really got a windfall. You're never going to feel that over here until it hits $1,000 and you look at your remaining bag and you realize, oh, I have $3 million. Nice, right? But in this model, before you even get to 1,000, you've taken out almost, you know, you've taken out over $2 million, right? Because our next cash out point at the 250 takes out $500,000 for you, and then half at $500, you take out $2 million, and you still got XRP left, right? You still got a nice little pocket of XRP there. Now, obviously, at this point, this model is broken down and we now have less XRP than the person who did the stopping the leaking boat. However, if you look, we've made $1 million more off of these trades, right? Pretty cool stuff. Now let's go over to the 10% model. 10%, some of you might be like, wow, how's it making $5 million despite, you know, this one where, you know, you're keeping most of your XRP at the beginning, right? Like, look, you don't go below 9,000 XRP until the $50 mark. Yet at, you know, the 10% model, you're down below 7,000 by you get to that same point. Yet somehow this comes out with more. Allow me to explain. With the springing a leak model here, right? The idea is that once you hit this point right here at the what would be our $100 cash out, now we're cashing out more than 10% per profit taking point, right? So this one we're taking 6% over 10, and this one we're taking double that. We're taking, you know, 32% out. And so that's where, you know, even though we're going to be getting a lot fatter cash reward here, it's going to be detrimental overall to what we get, right? Because if you notice, once again, in the previous model over here, you had made, you know, by the $250 price point, you've essentially already pulled out your first million, you know, $750,000, and you don't even get a full million by 500 withdrawal at this point. However, you're still pulling out good money after your $25 exit point, right? 5,000 your first one, nothing to really write home about. It's good money, but, you know, you're not going to write home about that. The next one you're going to make about $9,000, you know, 9 plus 5, that's why you had the 14,000 here. So $9,000, again, nothing to really shake a stick at. You're going to go on a nice vacation with the family, right? That $25 cash out point, that's where things get interesting again, because now you're making $20,000. Again, this is only exiting 10% at each point. At $50, now you're making double that, right? You pulled out 30,000, almost 40,000 rather. And then it doubles again, and again, and again, right? Until you hit that 1,000 and you realize that you still have 4,000 some XRP that gives you bags at you know, $5 million, over 5 million remaining. So that 10% model, even though it's not that fancy at the beginning, you know, it's fancier than the spring and leak model that you're only getting 500 out, but you're keeping a lot for the end game because you're only taking out a set amount each time, and you're keeping the majority of all of your stack each time, right? Now, here's another fun one that I did just for fun, and this is one that is going to feel like the springing a leak model at the beginning, but you're gonna realize that you've held back the dam by the time you get to the end. And this is the 1% model, and this is my model. Well, it's the model that I'm operating off of right now until I find a way to manipulate the figures a little bit so that I can figure out exactly how much I'm going to take in each. Because there are other models that you can utilize that are going to provide you with better returns at the end of the day. And you just have to learn for yourself what those are. And maybe if I get a lot of requests, then I'll show you guys what I come up with for my actual exit strategy. But for now, I'm leaning somewhere between a 10 to 1% model. I might even do like a 5% exit strategy, which is basically the same thing as the 10 and the 1, where instead of taking out 10% or 1% at each of these exit points, I'm taking out 5. And so to show off the 1% model here, obviously it's going to be the same exact walkthrough as the 10%, only, again, we're only cashing out 1% of our XRP at every point. And that doesn't turn into a lot of money until literally, by the time you get to $500 is by the time you're actually starting to take cash out chunks that could be equivalent to an annual salary, right? So I hope that you've all enjoyed this exit plan strategy cheat sheet that I've created for you. I hope that one of these models seems like something that you'd actually be interested in working with in your own regards to how you will exit out of this market or take profits, or maybe you're hodl till moon. Maybe you won't take any profits. Ultimately that choice is up to you. I'm not an investment advisor. I'm simply Jade, the XRP Martian, here to share with you my passion for XRP and cryptocurrency, and share some potential methods for cashing out that many of you have asked for. So if you're new, please be sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe, and ring that bell so that you can be alerted whenever I make a new XRP or cryptocurrency related video. And I hope to see you, as always, in my next video on Mars.